Hi, and welcome into this week's episode of Capital City Sports. I'm Ed Cahill.
And I'm Julia Melvin.
Julia, it's great to have you back this week. Why don't you tell us what's on tap?
Last weekend, Gamecocks softball opened their season against the College of Charleston Cougars. We'll have all the news and notes from the series. Also, Dawn Staley's Lady Gamecocks took the Ole Miss Rebels down to the wire on Sunday. But first, Operation Salad was a huge success. The Colonial Life Arena was filled to the rafters, and everyone was there to see Coach Horn and the Gamecocks take on the struggling Georgia Bulldogs.
That's right, Julia. Could the Gamecocks seize the moment in front of a record-setting crowd? Justin Fabiano has the answer.
Darren Horn looking on as his Gamecocks are taking on the SEC winless Georgia Bulldogs. The Gamecocks get off to a quick start. Dominique Archie hits it deep from three, putting the Gamecocks up 5-3. Devin Downey's got an answer for that, making it rain from three. He puts the Gamecocks up 8-3, and the run continues with the big man. That's Mike who? Mike Holmes with the and one layup. Now here's Mike Holmes again. Folks, the fans call that a cock block. The Gamecocks get the rebound. Mike Holmes puts it up the court. Devin Downey, he just pulls up and puts it in. Devin Downey slicing through the defense, putting the floater in. He only had 10 points. You just saw 8 of them. Now Georgia desperate to make something happen. Zach Sweeney getting it to Albert Jackson for the big, huge dunk. Like I said, Downey only had 10 points, but it doesn't matter. He'll miss this three. But my boy Sam Muldrow there to pick up the trash. You call him the Lithuanian Mania. I call him Buckets McGee. Evka draining the three, putting the Gamecocks up 21-5 until Terrence Woodbury answers with a deep three of his own, making it 21-8. Georgia playing a little defense. Zach Swansea all up in Zam Frederick's grill. Gets it to Chris Barnes, who's going to dunk with big-time authority right there. But Evka can play some defense of himself, forcing the steal there. And that's going to lead to this. Zam Frederick to Mike who? Mike Holmes. Now we're going to get back to real time here. Zam Frederick. That's good for three. Gamecocks up 38-19. Now we know Georgia's struggling a little bit this season. They get the rebound dunk right here, but Sam Muldrow's got an answer for everything. Downey gets it to him, and he puts it away big time. Now the Gamecocks back on offense. Dominique Archie. Wham, bam, thank you, Zam. That's good for three. Like I said, Devin Downey struggled a little bit, but it doesn't matter because Archie's there to take out the garbage again. Now the exclamation point on this game is Sam Muldrow with the one-handed jam. He had 18 points, and the Gamecocks had 79 points. Georgia 68. Darren Horn, talk about your boy Sam Muldrow.
I mean, I think Sam is a guy that we thought could come in and impact things. He's an athletic guy. He plays hard. He affects things. His numbers were maybe more impressive tonight, especially in the points column, than they have been. But I think his contribution and his impact has been significant since the minute he stepped on the floor after recovering from an injury.
USC's win against the Bulldogs marks their 6th conference win of the year. That's one more than they had all of last season. For more on men's basketball, we'll take it to Corey Burkhardt in the boardroom.
All right, thank you, Julia. Welcome into the boardroom on Capital City Sports. I'm Corey Burkhardt, being joined this week by this guy. He's Justin Fabiano, one of our executive producers here at Capital City Sports. He's going to fill in as our analyst this week. Fabs, how are you this week?
I am fantastic, Bert.
All right, thank you for being with us. The ladies, they call him Fabtabulous, and I'll tell you what, Fabs, it is great to have Julia Melvin with Ed on host video this week. What do you think?
It is great. She's a good-looking girl, change of pace going on. So I think that's a good thing for the show.
I think Ed has a little crush on her.
I think so.
All right, let's go into the men's basketball team. Over the weekend, you were there. They hosted Georgia. They ended up beating them only by about 9 or 10 points, but give me your overall thoughts on the game.
Well, it was 11 points, but my overall thoughts were it's the first good start they got out to since Clemson. I mean, you've seen a team struggle at the beginning of games but finish strong. This is a team that came out strong, and I think that really set the pace for the second half. The second half, you saw them give up their lead a little bit. I think they were more ambitious on defense, trying to make things happen where they weren't, and when in a regular game, I don't think you would see that as much. So I think that's probably why the final score is a little bit closer than we thought.
All right. Operation Sellout, the school had going over the weekend. They wanted to sell out the Colonial Life Arena Of course you're not going to be able to do it against a team like Georgia. They're 0-7 in the SEC. No way you're even going to fill half of the arena. Somehow they pulled it off. Tell me how that went.
How they pulled it off was apparently they have a great marketing department. They got the Garnet Army. They've got, they've posted stuff all over the internet. They've got the word out. And I think it was smart of them to try to sell out the Georgia game rather than like Tennessee or Kentucky or Florida, because those games generally just automatically get more people. So they did a good job. It brought in more money, and it just fantastic marketing. That's how they got it done.
All right. So if you're a fan, you're a student, I mean, it just seems like the energy around this basketball program is just something that it hasn't been since you and me, and even before us, have been students here.
Absolutely. The energy is fantastic. Like I said, the Garnet Army's gotten off to a straight start, and the way you keep the energy high is you keep winning games, and that's what Darren Horn is doing that Dave Odom couldn't and that other coaches before couldn't. And this is the best team that this school has seen in a while, and the energy is going to reflect that.
All right, well, let's talk about these players. Last year, it seemed like Devin Downey, he tried to take on too much, and frankly, they weren't able to get the job done. This year, and even last week, Sam Muldrow had a career-high 18 points. You're getting real big play from guys like Muldrow, Mike Holmes, Frederick as well, Dominique Archie, Evka Banulis. It seems like a lot of people said this team wasn't going to be very deep this year, yet they're getting performance from guys that I just didn't think it was going to happen.
Well, I think what you're seeing is, like Darren Horn said, you're seeing a lot more unselfish play. Like they said, the team had 17 assists or something like that against Georgia. Downey had 8 of those. So you're seeing Downey, he only scored 10 points, but he's not afraid to get rid of the ball and give up the unselfish pass to teammates like Zam. And then you got guys like Evka and Rayleigh Ross who are coming in. And as for Mike Holmes, I don't think he fit in to Odom's system quite as well as he does in Horns, and that's why I think we're seeing a lot more production out of guys like Holmes and Muldrow, the bigger guys, getting in, getting the rebounds, getting the dunks, and that kind of stuff.
All right, basketball on the road for the next 2. They come back February 21st against Arkansas. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back later in the show, talk some more women's basketball as well as some other Gamecock sports, so stick around, and we'll see you in a bit.
Coming up after the break, we take you to Beckham Field as the softball team opened their season against the College of Charleston.
And don't miss the dramatic finish between the Lady Gamecocks and the Ole Miss Rebels. See all of that and more next.
USC softball opened up their 2009 campaign with a 3-game series against the College of Charleston.
And these Gamecocks bring a whole new meaning to the phrase, "Diamonds are a girl's best friend." We'll send it to Cameron Widerman for more.
USC softball kicking off their season at home, taking on College of Charleston there. The ground crew getting the field ready before the game. Audrey Broyle, the freshman righty, would get the start, and what a debut for her. It would take no time for her to get going, striking out Harmon, first batter of the game here. Coming up after that is Shiflett, strikes her out. And Howard, the final out of the inning, she strikes out the side there to get the Gamecocks started. The offense would start just as hot. Ashton Payne's going to hit this double to left center field. She was the best offensive player for the Gamecocks last season. She went 3 for 4 on the day. Bases are loaded now for freshman Evan Childs from Conway, South Carolina. This ball is going to get over the left fielder's head. 2 runs are going to score for the Gamecocks. They take the early 2-0 lead in the bottom of the first, but they are not done. Pitcher Audrey Broyle gets it done at the plate as well. That RBI single is going to score 2 more. Bottom of the first, Gamecocks go up 4-0. 3 more Ks for Broyle is coming up here. This last one going against Amanda Lonergan, who's also from Pembroke Pines, Florida, the hometown of Audrey Broyle. PJ Fulmer, the sophomore catcher, leads off the 4th with his double into the gap in left field. Now, folks, this is what you call manufacturing runs. Cagney Davis is going to lay down the bunt here, and the ball is just going to die. A tough throw to first for the Cougars. She is safe. Candace Redondo would move the runners over for Kristen Stubblefield. That's going to be 2 ribbies for her. Gamecocks up 6-0 at that point. They would tack on 1 more in the inning. That puts the Gamecocks up 7-0 with Kirsten White warming up in the pen. They would not need her because Audrey Broyle would shut down the College of Charleston. 14 strikeouts and the complete game win in her debut. Gamecocks win this one 7-1 in Game 1 of the doubleheader. In Game 2 of the doubleheader, the Gamecocks pull this one out as well by a score of 6-4. The freshman Evan Childs goes 2 for 4 with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs. On Sunday at College of Charleston, South Carolina falls by a 2-1 score. Cameron Widerman, Capital City Sports.
The Lady Gamecock basketball team recorded their first conference win of the season 2 weeks ago at Ole Miss. Last Sunday, Ole Miss came into Columbia for a rematch of the ages. Let's go to Jared Munch and Taniqua Penix for all the buzzer-beating action.
Thank you, Ed. The Gamecocks trying to stop a 3-game losing skid. Lakeisha Sutton would get it started off here early with this nice baseline drive and the layup for 2. Then Courtney Newton gets the dish outside for 3, knocking it down. Gamecocks take a quick 7-2 lead.
From there, Rebel Bianca Thomas takes it 6 feet behind the line to sink it in for a 3. Alicia Easley, she comes in with another 3. Dawn Staley's not so happy about that one, but does Elizabeth Robertson care? No, she sinks it in for another 3.
That 18-2 Ole Miss run leaves the Gamecocks down 11. Here's a guy in the stands taking a page out of Justin Fabiano's dance book. Later then, after the timeout, Courtney Newton gets the ball in her hands and drains that one for 2. Then on an inbound pass, Tania Williams electric slides herself between 2 defenders for the layup. Then last closing seconds of the first half, Tania Williams from half court. And it falls! Gamecocks pull within 4:30 going into the half. Gamecocks are stoked.
Now we're in the second half. Sean Goff sets it off with a 2-pointer. Then you have Sutton to Newton. Short of a 3, her foot was on the line, but it's still good. Courtney Newton ends the night with 12 points. Tania Williams hits her layup. She ends the night with 11. Gamecocks hoping to make a comeback before the night's over. CJ Pace tries to make that possible with the 3-pointer, but the Rebels say, I don't think so. Bianca Thomas takes it in. She led the Mississippi Rebels with 20 points and 9 rebounds.
Gamecocks down 3, implementing the full court press, and it would work to perfection, forcing the turnover, but this would not exactly work to perfection. Lauren Falone with her feet out of bounds when she takes the pass from Courtney Newton. That's a turnover, a costly one. But Lakeisha Sutton using the window. Hang on, folks. Gamecocks down by 1, but then 11 seconds to go. We're all tied up. Lakeisha Sutton on her second free throw. That gives the Gamecocks a 65-64 lead, but not for long as time expires. Ole Miss takes the win, 66-65, denying the Gamecocks their second conference win.
Well, that does it for us. I'm Taniqua Penix.
And I'm Jared Munch.
Capital City Sports.
Dawn Staley's Lady Gamecocks are now on a 4-game losing streak. We'll send it back to Corey Burkhardt and company in the boardroom to discuss the heartbreaking loss.
Thank you, Julia. Welcome back into the boardroom. I'm Justin Fabiano, being joined by Corey Burkhardt. Now we're going to do a little bit of role reversal here. I'm going to play host. He's going to play analyst. Corey, you haven't analyzed a whole lot in your career. How's it feel?
You know, it's been a while since I came in as an analyst. It was, I believe, season 2 when I was joining Jonathan Hilliard in the boardrooms for some football, so it's good to switch roles for a little while.
I do remember that. The show has come a long way since then, thanks to guys like us and B-Walk, but nevertheless, we need to jump right into it. Women's basketball lost by 1 against Ole Miss. It was a very tough game. Give me your thoughts. You were there.
Oh, wow. I tell you what, Justin, if you want to talk about energy and emotion that was in that game, it was their Think Pink Day. They were supporting breast cancer research and trying to find a cure for it. I mean, just the amount of energy that went into that game. They were down early. They were down, honestly, throughout the most better part of that game. The way they came back in the last 4, the last 3, the last 2 minutes inside of that last minute just personify what this team is able to do. Unfortunately, a couple of ticky-tack things right at the end just kind of went against them. They weren't able to get the win, but honestly, if you're Coach Dawn Staley, by the way that team played on Sunday, you have to be impressed.
Well, and I think that's kind of what we've been seeing all year long with the Gamecocks. They've had to come from behind in almost every game they've played, and the last few recent games, they've had to do it without their 2-star players. So what does that say about the youngsters of this team?
Obviously, the young talent has been stepping up in a huge way. When you have Demetrius Adams go out for the entire season, and then you have another senior in Brianna Dickerson go out as well for several weeks, obviously you don't know what's going to happen with the young players that we have. Coach Staley really hasn't brought in these players, so they're Coach Walvius's players, so she doesn't know exactly what she's dealing with. They came in, they stepped up in such a huge way for her, and if I'm Coach Staley and if I'm one of those players, next year, the year beyond that, I'm feeling pretty good about the players I got.
Okay, well, speaking of that, Dawn Staley, she played in the Olympics. You know, she's got a lot on her resume. So how is that going to affect recruiting and for the teams in the future with these young people stepping up right now?
Well, it seems like a lot of good players are coming out of the northeastern part of the country. She was there with Temple. She's bringing in some recruits right now out of that area, out of New York. She's working it hard up there. She's going to start to work it some more down here. She wants players that can fit into her system. It seems like right now, one of the things that this team has struggled with is inside the paint. They don't seem to go inside the paint, shoot under the basket very well. Hopefully she can get some players in like a Devin Downey that has the ability to go to the basket, to split a defense, or even converge on them, pull up, hit a jumper. So if Staley can find the kind of players that she had at Temple, the kind of players that fit the style that she played even when she was at Virginia, I think she's going to be fine.
Okay, well, the women's team is struggling now, but the future does look very promising. We're going to take a break, but coming up later in the show, the two of us will be right back. But for now, for Corey Burkhardt, I'm Justin Fabiano, and we'll see you in a bit.
Up next, the men's tennis team was back in action to take on Charlotte over the weekend. Drop the remote. We'll be right back. The men's tennis team was on double duty Saturday, defeating Davidson 7-0 and then turning around in the afternoon to face Charlotte. Will the Charlotte 49ers suffer a similar fate? Let's send it over to Mike Wadsworth for the action.
After getting the sweep over Davidson in the morning, the Gamecocks took on Charlotte in the afternoon. For the Gamecocks, it was Pedro Campos and Ivan Crisoni taking on Moritz Bornhorster and Chris Hunt. And the Gamecocks doing work early, lets this one go out deep. And then Pedro Campos was solid on the net all day long. Gets the point here. The Gamecocks will get out to the 6-2 lead. Charlotte getting coached up here would have something to say. Bornhorster with the serve, and then a nice save here. And then his teammate Chris Hunt smashing it down. Charlotte was pumped, and they were not stopping there. For the Gamecocks, Crisoni doing all he can, but Charlotte able to split Campos and Crisoni here. They would make this interesting, get this to 6-5, but the Gamecocks were just too strong. Doing work on the net once again. Crisoni gets this one down. The Gamecocks would get the sweep in doubles. In singles, Campos would take care of things on his end. And Crisoni had the powerful serve all day long. He would get the victory in his singles match as well. And this play right here epitomized the day for Charlotte. They played extremely well, but the Gamecocks putting things just out of reach. Carolina was able to sweep the singles as well, and Campos here with the forehand was able to finish things up. The Gamecocks completing the sweep over Charlotte to complete another impressive day for the men's tennis team. Mike Wadsworth, Capital City Sports.
Well, this week's show is winding down, but before we go, we'll take it to Corey Burkhardt in the boardroom.
Thank you, Julia. Welcome back into the boardroom. All right, Fabs, I'm back in the driver's seat, so let's get back to business. Tommy Beecher, it came out earlier in the week. After graduating from USC in December, he is now going to go to Liberty in Lynchburg, Virginia, 1AA team. He's going to play football. What do you think of that?
Well, you know, I think that's good for Tommy Beecher. I think he's taking a little bit of a beating from Spurrier. Spurrier said recently, I guess it was after the Outback Bowl or the Clemson game, he said, you know, Tommy doesn't even want to play. He doesn't want to take a hit and all that. So, you know, it's good that Tommy Beecher's getting out of Spurrier's system where he didn't get a whole lot of playing time, and he's going to go get playing time for himself. And who knows, maybe he'll make a name for himself.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, that opening game of the season. Wouldn't you agree, watching him against NC State? He had the interceptions, he had the concussion, and really we didn't see much of him again. So for the kid to get another chance, obviously you have to be happy.
You know, one of my favorite sports movies is The Replacements, and it's all about second chances, and guys who didn't succeed at their first chance succeed with their second chance. So I really hope for Tommy Beecher that that's going to happen over there at Liberty. I really do.
Seems like a great guy, really good player, so obviously we're going to wish him the best. Now on Friday out at Carolina Stadium, the new baseball stadium, they're going to have a little open house event, welcome out some fans, some media, kind of check out the place. What are you kind of hoping for that's going to come out of this stadium this year?
I'm hoping for a new era of Gamecock baseball. I think it's ironic that the team has lost so much power last year and what the team has been about in the years past. They get a new stadium and they have a whole new look to their team. So we're going to see different baseball being played, and I think that's great because, you know, in the pros you don't get 13-9 wins. You know, you get 4-3 wins, and I think as a baseball fan, I like that. I really like that. You're going to see a lot more pitching duels, I think, and it's going to be a lot more intriguing for the baseball fan to go watch.
You know, one thing I heard Coach Tanner say on the radio yesterday, they were asking him about the new stadium. Now, the Sarge, apparently, it only had 5 toilets for women. Well, apparently they got plenty more over at the new stadium, so female fans, he said, they're going to be very impressed. Now, Coach Tanner had a lot to do with this stadium. He's wanted the stadium for a long time. He had a lot to say in how it was built and how things are done. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's good that he cares about his women fans, first of all. But I think the Sarge just lacks so many amenities that maybe made it tougher to recruit. I mean, the new stadium has brand new, very nice indoor batting cages. Tanner's office overlooks the field. I'm pretty sure that's probably something he had his hands in on where he wanted his office to be. But I think that he just wanted to create a place where fans could come enjoy a game and enjoy it in style, because the tradition of this team, they did not have the facilities that they deserved.
All right, well, let's go on to another sport, softball. They beat College of Charleston in the doubleheader to start off the season. They ended up losing the next day. If you're Coach Joyce Compton, how do you feel about the upcoming season?
You know, that's the first time that I believe College of Charleston has ever beaten this team. So I don't think you feel very good right about now, you know, and I love softball, and I love that the girls play. But I think this season may be a struggle, judging by that early season loss to College of Charleston.
All right, well, it's early, so we'll see how that plays out. But that's going to do it for us right now. For Justin Fabiano, our newly single boardroom director, Mike Wadsworth, I'm Corey Burkhardt. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us this week here at Capital City Sports. We'll take a week off next week. Be sure to join us in 2 weeks at our normal time, Thursday nights at 8.
Until then, you can go onto your computer and look us up on capitalcitysports.blip.tv or search on iTunes, Capital City Sports. I'm Julia Melvin.
And I'm Ed Cahill. From myself and the rest of the crew, I hope you have a great weekend and a very lovely Valentine's Day.